Okay, so let me just start off by saying that probably everything that you need to see in this video, or everything that you need to know about this video, you can see in the thumbnail. So if you're busy today, you can get going and just, I don't know, have a close look at the thumbnail and you'll figure out exactly what this is. To kick off the long form of it, to begin the long version of it, it's an idea that I've had for quite a while, and I think what I'm going to do with an idea like this and some others is just turn it into another playlist, as if I don't already have too many of those on the channel. And I'm going to call this one something like manageable project sizes or manageable project lengths, replay lengths, whatever. I tend to call them projects because I tend not to do straight replays. Uh, I play with the parameters a little bit, I guess, and just come up with what ifs and various projects. So that's what I call them. And what this one is here, this is designed with the idea to be able to get a taste of a season without replaying an entire season, because of course, especially if you want to play something modern, it's just way too many teams and way too many games. I mean, if I happen to come into a lot of money tomorrow and I'm able to retire and I can play this stuff around the clock, then maybe I'll reconsider. But in the meantime, if you're working full time and you have various other things going on your schedule, then something that you can, a more manageable, I guess, time manageable project or replay. Because this year, something I'll say off the top in case I forget to say it later is that the math in this, I believe, all checks out to be about the exact same length as a single team full season replay. That being a full hockey season, of course, 82 or 80-ish games with a single team, and then including as well a single playoff with that team, should they qualify for playoffs. And you're not Dave replaying a season with the Seals or anything like that. So decided I'm going to call it the Elite Eight. And I think the one that I'll start with is the 2018-19 NHL season, because I've had these shootout cards, I want to say, for at least a year or two. And all that I've done with them thus far is a small tournament with New York area teams. That was kind of a request or something that I took from a request and developed into a tournament that I called the Tony Series, Teams of New York. I have videos up, playing the New York area teams in a tournament with these cards. And then a few one-off games, probably a game or three with the Habs. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this with more seasons other than 28-19, but at some point in 2022, because another thing right now is that I've this is me, again, just another attempt to stave off or just put off having to update stats and things like that. I've got some of my own video to go through for a few projects now. So I'm procrastinating on stats keeping as well, and stats updates. But at some point in 2022, as I try to stave off multiple project disorder, that's what I'm going to call it, MPD, I do want to do this thing with the Elite Eight and with Shootout Hockey, where again, I take 8 teams from this season, and these 8 teams will be either the top 8 or the top 7 plus the champions. And I think I'll keep these guidelines for every season. And again, this is I'm sharing this with the idea of just sharing what I think is a manageable project. And feel free, please, to leave in comments if any ideas that you might have about how you take, whether you do a single team season replay or just a tournament, just playoffs only. If some other kind of what if that you construct, or again playing with the parameters, so that you do something where if you're working or you have other things in your schedule, or maybe you're somebody who you want to play hockey but you're playing a lot of other sim and tabletop sports at the same time, how do you make a manageable schedule, a manageable project or replay length? Anyway, so again, 8 teams, top 8 plus the top 7 plus the champions. I'm going to put them in 2 divisions, and the reason being so that it does work out to a 20-game regular season schedule. I couldn't put actually everything in here, despite what I said off the top, so I'm going to elaborate on some of this stuff a little bit. The 2 divisions, and I think they're going to be fair if I put the teams in this order. So one division will have the top team, and actually at this point I can even show them the top team plus the 4th overall, 5th overall, and 8th overall teams going by the NHL.com standings, overall league standings for that season. And this one here, it's either the 8th overall team or the Stanley Cup champion. St. Louis won it in 2019. St. Louis did not qualify for the top 8. They didn't finish in the top 8 in the 2018-19 NHL season. So the other division will have the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 7th overall teams. And so those teams, what they are, of course, that was a real banner year for Tampa until they arrived in the playoffs. Lucky for Tampa, no Columbus among these eight. Calgary actually finished not just first in the West, but second overall in the NHL that season. Really impressive run for them, again, until they got to the playoffs. And for Calgary's sake, there's no Colorado Avalanche here. Boston, they finished third overall. Washington was fourth overall. The Islanders, fifth overall. And San Jose came in sixth. I hope I have these in order. I'm pretty sure that I do. Toronto Maple Leafs, seventh. So they will share a division with Boston again. To be honest, I haven't quite decided. Normally, what I would do is when I do a league this size, I do like the two division winners and then the two wild cards. I don't think I want to do 6 out of 8 qualify. That's just too many, kind of a dead horse. So I think I'll go with again with probably I'll do the two division winners and then the two wild cards. They could, if there's one really strong division, they won't be punished because the two wild cards will come from that division. Again, I didn't write that down here, but Toronto seventh overall, and so Nashville. Like I put Nashville here to sort of apologize to the Predators. They unfortunately will not qualify for this because they didn't win the Stanley Cup and St. Louis did. So St. Louis sort of gets in there as the replacement for the 8th overall seed. So this will be my Elite 8 for 2019. And so what this really is, again, it's a taste or a snapshot of the best from that season. And trying to spread them all so you can see them or give a decent spread. But those are the... Can't really see Washington there too well. Sorry. So those are the 8 teams there, the Elite 8, as I try to spread them there like peacock's wings. And it's going to be a 20-game season, so the reason I'm dividing them up in divisions, I'm going to do, within the division, 2 home and 2 away games. All the teams will play each other twice home and twice away, which will work out to a dozen games. And then they'll play 1 home and 1 away against the team in the other division. So kind of like they do with an 82-game schedule where you play a little more within your division and then a little less, but still a little more within your conference, and then a little even less with the other conference. Going to be kind of like that. Again, the 2 divisions, maybe a little unnecessary or redundant for a league that has only 8 teams. Why do 2 divisions? I also do that with 6-team leagues as well, like my League of Champions and Presidents with shootout hockey, great teams of the past. It's a 6-team league. The 2 divisions and then allowing for the wild cards, it just kind of gives it a bit more of a league feel. To me, like a fuller league feel without it actually being a full league. Again, feel free to comment on like that in the comments if there's something that you do to make a league feel a little more like a league. And, if you're Tenacious Earl and you do like the Nine-Nacious, for football. So there is that. And then it's the 20-game season. And I think for the playoffs as well, because a best of 7 seems a little heavy for a playoff schedule. I mean, you play 20 regular season games and then you're looking at like 14, up to 14 playoff games seems like a bit much. So the best of 5s. And what I do is I alternate home. I give, the higher seeded team will get home games in 1, 3, and 5. And then the lower seeded team will play at home for games 2 and 4 of the series, should the series even go that far. So yeah, 20-game season and then best of 5 in the playoffs. And I think that really covers it. I'm sure that there's something else that I probably had in mind to share that the moment that this is turned off, I'm going to think of it. But I'll permit myself a sip here. And if nothing else comes to me, then, and it hasn't, then I guess I'll just say that, yeah, anytime, any consideration that you give to anything like this, again, feel free to share, your ideas. Again, I would like to turn this into a playlist. I have some other ones that I want to share, but I also know that I have the tendency to talk for too long. And so I thought rather than do a bigger video where I share several ideas about how you can play maybe a more manageable project size that's still, it isn't all the teams and it isn't all the games. It's about basically what it is. It's about a quarter. Well, it is really. It's about roughly a quarter of the teams and then about a quarter of the season length. So you're looking at a quarter and a quarter. It's not everybody. There's no Connor McDavid, but, you have Nikita Kucherov, you have Johnny Gaudreau. You have, still have superstars, Marchand. I was trying to say Bergeron and Marchand at the same time. Ovechkin, obviously, interestingly, on the second line there for Washington. And Long Island, I have used them in one-offs, and Casey Zizekas there being in the top line. So, it's, you have San Jose and everybody's favorite San Jose Shark, Evander Kane. Of course, Austin Matthews also slotted on line 2 there, left wing at that. And then you have the St. Louis, the Cup champions with centers. And I understand, again, like, this is not a knock on shootout. I understand the formulas and the way I think I understand the engine well enough and the way that things work that I understand why they do this. But you have like centers, yeah, Shen. Not that Shen would ever never slot on the wing, but Shen and O'Reilly there on the top lines. That's interesting. So I'm not going to do this necessarily right away, but at some point in the year 2022. So, and again, this is something that I think, especially if I find that I'm enjoying something like this, then maybe for other seasons as well, where the NHL had, say, 21 or more teams, for those kinds of seasons, maybe go through some seasons in the 80s and the 90s. I think I have a couple of shootout seasons actually that I've yet to print the cards for. And so maybe take the top 8 teams and or top 7 plus the Stanley Cup champion winners from that season, and just put them in this kind of format. So it's just again, it's a condensed replay. It's a what if, project season, whatever you want to call it, by any name. I've elected here to call it the Elite Eight. I just thought it had a nice ring to it. So anyway, I think, again, I've had this pointer here unnecessarily, and I end up moving the damn hands anyway. But again, let me know. Feel free to leave your ideas for manageable project lengths, manageable project sizes in the comments. And should I decide to discuss one of those in a future video, of course, I'll give you full credit, for that, for where I got the idea. I'll try to make a mental note of, okay, that's something that I hadn't considered, but, thank you for leaving it in comments. And obviously, if I talk about it in a future video, then I have considered it. So, all right. Enjoy your weekend. It's already the weekend over here. And cheers, thanks, and bye for now.